Hey there. Let's talk about holding hands. I am Jacqueline, professional matchmaker of Discover Love Matches, but also the one that a lot of people come to for advice on intimacy, dating, courtship, flirting, you name it, if it has to do with passion in some form. I do work with a lot of work passion too, so I guess that is kind of my thing. I am the person that loves to chat about things that we don't always talk about, topics that we need to discuss a little bit more, and things that we also might take for granted or don't always stop to pause and appreciate. So, we're going to talk about holding hands. I love holding hands with the right person, but holding hands with like somebody you don't quite sync up with is just flippin' awkward. So let's just put it out there right now when we get started. I love working with people at becoming more comfortable with their bodies, with their mind, with their dreams, their desires, their wants, and their needs. But sometimes when it comes to that instant, do we hold hands or do we not? What do we do with it? Confusion can kick in. So I have very large hands. So when I try to hold hands with somebody with very small hands, that is not a child, and then it can be a little awkward. And so it's always kind of entertaining to see, like if somebody has really small hands, I will hold their hand at a like smaller pose, where if they've got equal size hands or even bigger hands than mine, I will hold palm to palm. And then there's also that, clutching your hands together with a little bit of that crisscross. And I see people do that. And sometimes it's the difference between is the male hands behind or the female hands behind, like who's leading the walking with the hand holding. So there's a lot to be said on how you hold hands. Also, I have noticed lately that people will reach to your hand to get your attention when you are talking to other people. And I've been going to lots of really cool group things, group activities, group music, group parties, group workshops. And so those that are feeling more like, hey, I'd like to stand out and get more of attention are reaching for my hand. And so this has been more than normal. And I'm really enjoying how I feel different with each person reaching for my hand. Sometimes it's just me and a girlfriend walking down the street, and we just want to hold hands just to be sweet and kind and be close to each other as we're talking, because we've got some great little stories to share. Sometimes we're interlocking our arms together. If you've ever done that, it's always super fun, and it's kind of non-invasive, but kind of protective feeling where you just kind of are like, hey, we're locked together. We're not separating until we decide to separate. And then there are the moments when somebody is wanting to get to know you more on an intimate level and they want to hold your hand. And it's so interesting because sometimes you don't know if you should hold more tightly or more intertwined, or if you should hold kind of with a little bit of space in between. Sometimes the heat and the energy of the two palms is so massive that you literally have to hold with a little bit of space. And you don't always know why you're doing that. It's often in the early stages of hand holding in a courtship process, because you don't really know how the other person's reacting. They might not know how to respond. They might not know how to connect a little closer, because there's that feeling like if we get the palms together, we're going to get the bodies together. It's so interesting because it's very subliminal and it's very subconscious, but there's something powerful about it. And there have been times where I've done the kind of wider hand holding where I'm just lightly holding their hand, but our palms aren't even close. And I kind of find I walk holding somebody's hand that way when I'm just like, oh, okay, where are we going next? And I'm not like embracing the energy of the person. I'm kind of using it as a guide, like their hand is kind of guiding me down the streets or wherever we're attending or the table we're moving to. But when I'm wanting to be more intimate and more close to somebody, I'm going to make sure our palms closely get connected. So for some people, it's easier to do the hands kind of crisscrossing, and then other people, it's nice when the fingers are interlocking. So I'm curious for you, what do you think about hand holding? Where do you go on that journey? Are you somebody to kind of reach out and hold hands with somebody pretty quickly? Are you somebody that's your way of kind of saying, hey, I'm kind of into you? Like, I love it when you're on a date and they reach down under the table and put their hand on your knee or your thigh, and you feel kind of that extra private connection. But then when you put your hand on top of their hand and you have that hand holding, it's pretty cool too. So I've just been thinking a lot about how we give these subliminal messages and sometimes pretty direct and forward messages. But there's something so powerful once you kind of mark the territory of another person in a loving way. Like, I want to be close to you. I don't want to just be talking and walking by you. I want us to walk together. I want to be in that interlocking moment. And I want to feel your energy just literally coming right from your palm to my palm. And when you allow the palms to get close, you can feel the heat of the other person. And it feels so much more beautiful than when you're in this stage. But sometimes you're in this stage because you want to be a little cautious. You want to be a little protective of letting them get to that closer stage because you just feel that their energy is so strong. I have definitely been with people that their energy is so strong, so intense, so powerful that I have to do it like this. I've got to have some space, or I might not be able to see straight, or I might start stuttering, or I might start to hyperventilate because I can feel their energy is just going to soar through me once I allow the palms to come together. So I'm curious, have you ever really thought about hand holding? You know me, I got to think about all these things in a different way than most people do. So I'm very, very curious what your thoughts are on hand holding. So let's keep this conversation going.